Would like to welcome you to the New Life Recovery Show. If I think better, I do better. My name's Donnie, last name's Glover. Our special guest today is a brother who's been doing work in the community for quite a long time. We've got a little history together. We both come out of James Mosher baseball. Without further ado, I present to you one of Baltimore's finest, Mr. Rod Easter. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon to you, brother Donnie. How are you? I'm well. I woke up this morning, man.
I woke up this morning. You know, I heard somebody say once, I woke up, I'm winning.
Yeah, man. And this life and where we come from, to be at the ripe old age of 68, and still living life like I am, man, is a total blessing. A lot of people can't say that anymore.
I guess you have lost a lot of people along the way.
Yeah, some really good people. Really, really good people, man. Some talented people, some people who have shaped me and molded me, friends I grew up with. I talk about this a lot about spirit, that I may share something with someone else that someone shared with me who's no longer here, who you'll never meet, that helped me, and now I'm using that to help you. That means their spirit is still resonating through me to you, and that's what spirituality has a basis for with me, man. It's just to keep sharing the knowledge, keep sharing the lessons, and you keep sharing the wealth.
You know, that's one thing I got to keep it 100 with you. That's the one thing I don't understand about some of these organizations, secret societies. I'll be more specific, Masonic. You know, I know they talk about hidden knowledge, and shouldn't the knowledge be to help everybody, to help humanity?
It should be, and I was always, here's another thing I was told, Donnie, that you can't keep it unless you give it away. You got to keep giving that knowledge and whatever you got away. You can't take it with you. And nobody leaves this life alive. And the things that you acquired during life, I mean, they're someone else's possessions once you're gone. And it does me good when I was at a golf tournament a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month and a half ago. And a young black guy came up to me. Brother said, Rod, man, I just want to thank you. And he was an electrician. He was my apprentice years ago. And he said, you were a little bit hard. He said, but what you said stuck. And I followed what you said. He said it paid off. I'm running work now. I'm a superintendent. And, I think about the things that you and other guys said to me, especially you, man, because I really admire where you've gone. And I told him, I said, look, I'm glad you didn't call me an a-hole when you came up to me. He said, nah, man, I got nothing but thanks for you. So when you share that and it comes back to you years later, you've been doing the right stuff for the right reason.
I got some good news yesterday, man. Around 2006, I had a prison ministry over city jail for 14 to 17-year-olds. Gwendolyn Oliver, she was the assistant warden. And it was a L section. And I called the ministry Love for L. And once a week, I'd go over there and I'd take somebody with me. Kenny Harris went with me, the late councilman, council president, or then council president, Bernard Jack Young went with me. A James Mosher home run king, Brian Easley, he went with me. Yeah, he was more my age group.
Okay.
I'm 59. And, I'd go over there and, we would talk to him and share. I remember one time they let me go to the back. One of the guys there was from Sandtown. That's where I lived for the past 30 years. And they let me go back and talk to Spanky. He was in the cell. And I tell you, Rod, of all the things that I have done, I don't know anything that has been more rewarding than visiting those young men at the jail. On 3 occasions over at the Avenue Market, I live about 2 blocks from the Avenue Market, or outside the market. 3 of those young men came up to me and they said, "You don't remember me, but I just want to thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing better now."
Mm-hmm.
Rod, I've done a lot of things, brother, good and bad, but nothing has warmed my soul more than those 3 occasions. I felt worthy of something, of life.
Well, keep waking up, Donnie, because as you get older, more people will come back into your life because you've been doing good things. People will have the opportunity to return that to you again. So keep waking up, man. I'm experiencing it all the time.
But the good news was yesterday I talked to a friend of mine, and at last check, he had retired from Baltimore Police Department and was down working security at Bowie State. But he has since told me yesterday that he's now working in corrections.
Wow.
And I said, man, you got to help me get my prison ministry back.
Yeah, that's full circle, man. That's full circle. That's what's up.
Yeah. Tell me about James Mosier baseball, man. Could you play? Who you play for?
I was a Yankee, man. I was a Yankee back in the 60s, and uh, James Mosier baseball was so much different. I mean, it's great for the kids now, but we were so much more competitive. I mean, much more talented too. We lived and breathed baseball. Baseball was a big thing. And the parade was a big thing, and you know, the sponsors. I mean, coming up Edmondson Avenue and Bentlow Street when it was,
Because it
the
went
nice.
past your door, went
Oh
past
yeah,
your front door.
absolutely, a much nicer community, man, and everybody. It just went out for that day, man, and to walk in that parade and play on opening day, and the when they had family day, the mothers from one league would play the mothers of the other league. It's like,
I never saw that, Rod.
oh yeah, man. My mother used to play third base, man. They used to call her Brooks Robbins. Yeah, man. And the mothers and the fathers. I was fortunate, man. I had a mother and a father who were married for 65 years. So they
Praise
both
God.
the things that I got, and you see them behind me. They're my kids, man. They're my kids. They participated in all of their kids' activities, and it was great, man. But James Mosier was all it, and I still participate with James Mosier. I'm on the board and do things for them when they have a need. I just don't see the commitment from the parents, which resonates down to the kids that used to. But there's some kids in there that really stand out, really want to play baseball, and even the leadership. Mr. Neal and the others, they do a great job, but they're getting older. Mr. Delmar Harad, who was there coaching when I was playing Little League baseball, and he's still part of the organization. Dedicated, committed people. Al Meacham, whose father was a founding father, he's still there.
I love me some Mr. Meacham, man.
Yeah,
The
just a
father,
lot. And
love that man, Jack.
my dad was the first coach of the Indians. You remember Eugene Lee? You don't remember Eugene? Okay, Eugene played.
Oh, they were an expansion team. I played
Absolutely,
for the Mets.
absolutely,
I was
absolutely.
an expansion. Was he the tall cat?
No, Eugene was a short, light-skinned brother, light eyes. He moved to Florida. Him and his brother lived over in the apartments with their mother off, which is Winchester Apartments now. Which was Winchester Apartments.
I
He
remember a
played for
tall
my
cat.
dad. A couple other guys that played for my dad. But anyway, Mr. Turners are not around, Mr. Taylors, and the other thing about James Mosier Little League when I was coming through, was that the majority of our coaches were professional baseball players. And when I say professional, they played in the
Negro
Negro
League.
League. And we didn't understand the impact of where they came from and what they did. You kind of think, at that time, because you played in the Negro Leagues, you weren't a real baseball player. But
That's
the
so.
things that were taught to us by those gentlemen, not only in baseball, but in life, was
Life.
incredible.
Mr. Simmons, that's who I remember.
Mr. Simmons, Mr. Tyree. It was quite a few of them that played Negro Baseball League, and it was just an honor to be a part of that in my life, man. So I keep trying to give it back. I know I'm busy a lot during the summertime. I don't get to as many games, but when they have an event and they need me there, I make myself available to do the work that's
I used to
needed.
do a lot of volunteer work there, man. Maurice Tates recruited me to go back and help.
They did a big special. ABC did a big special on James Mosier, the history of James Mosier, this year, and a lot of the old coaches and players came out. It was good to see folks, but we started this conversation talking about people who are not around anymore, and
we got to celebrate what we do have, and we cannot allow ego to get in the way.
Oh, no, that had nothing to do with it. I'm just speaking that they weren't there, but we were reminiscing about them. You know how when old cats get together and they start talking about what they used to do and what used to be able to do, and the lies start. I struck you out. No, you didn't. I hit a home run, but there's no one around.
Like Michael Singletary talk about he hit a triple off of me. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to break anybody's anonymity on this show, but we had some ringers, some guys who were playing James Mosier ball when they were 13 and 14 years old, supposed to be playing 9, 12. And we find out later when you turn 65 that they've been getting Social Security for the last 2 years because they turned 65 2 years before you. Oh, you've been holding this secret all these years. You've been holding this secret for 50 years. Okay.
Back then, a year, 2 years made a big difference, in the growth and development.
Absolutely.
Of a young person.
Absolutely.
I rode the bench for 2.5, almost 3 years. But the first 2 years, we had a lousy record. The Mets, Charlie Hughes.
Oh yeah, Charlie Hughes, Mr. Hughes.
But the third year, 1976, we won the championship. As a matter of fact, I played center field in that championship game. But the fourth and fifth year, I was banging. Never took it over the fence. I hit the fence once. But you had to earn your stripes, and you were playing with some of the best players in Baltimore, if not the state.
Speaking of that, in 1968, we played for the Baltimore City Championship 12-14. Well, no, it was 1970. That's what it was, 1970. And we had to go down and play Southeastern Police Boys Club.
White boys.
Oh, yeah. And they had a pitcher by the name of Moose Hoss. Do you know that name?
No, but he sounded like a bull.
Moose Hoss played for the Milwaukee Brewers. And he pitched a no-hitter in the major leagues.
Wow.
Moose was not a ringer, but they had guys that drove up to the game in cars. And they supposed to be playing. The shortstop drove up in a GTO and got out and grabbed his glove and bat and came out and played shortstop. Now he had to be at least 6.
Little League.
Yeah. No, this was Pony League.
Oh, okay.
Pony League. But my thing is, this was, 1969, 1970. You're a black traveling team in southeastern Baltimore playing against Southeastern Police Boys Club. There's nothing you could say about this wasn't fair. You played the game and left. Well, we lost the game 3-1. I think we showed up well. They went and played the next game in Memorial Stadium. But there was a lot of that going around where ringers were coming out playing baseball, and it just wasn't fair. But we stood our ground. That's one thing, and I was talking about that this morning, man. I guess it's a little bit off, but I was talking about it. I had a couple of guys over for breakfast, and we were talking about stolen goods. No, he said he missed the supermarket in Emerson Village, the Giant. And I said, well, if your cousins would have stopped looting the place, and if your aunts and uncles would stop buying the looted stuff, we might still have a market up there. I said, because if there's no people to buy the stolen goods, maybe people won't steal as much. And that's just a maybe. But I know from an early age, 1968, Martin Luther King assassination, the riots that took over Baltimore City. On Lanvell and Bentlow, there was a corner store named Miss Sarah's. And Miss Sarah was in the community forever. When that happened, her doors got kicked in, her store got looted. I ran down the street as a 13-year-old, and well, actually, I was 12 at the time, and grabbed a 6-pack of knee-high sodas. Came back to the house, walking up the steps, and my dad asked me, he says, where'd you get those sodas from? I said, down from the Sarah's, Dad. Everybody getting stuff. You can get what you want. You want me to get you something? He said, you will not bring any stolen stuff in my house. Take it back. And he smacked me upside my head and walked me back down the street and made me take it back and put it back in the store. For me, and I've had my dark days in life, dealing with my own demons. But I have, for the most part, stuck to buying something that was taken illegally has probably hurt somebody along the way. Somebody's going to pay for that. So I don't participate in it. I don't know how I got on that tangent. But
well, that's what this show is about.
Yeah.
If I think better, I do better.
Yeah. So I just don't buy, stuff that fell off the back of the truck, stuff that, people call it hot, a good deal or whatever. I don't do it. I want a receipt. I want a bag. I want, something I can print out to say that I purchased it, and that's that. That's just me.
Thank you for that reminder. We all need that reminder. Because I lived down here in Pennsylvania Avenue, and they would sell Jesus off the cross, brother.
Yeah.
And we have to remain vigilant, as you said, so as to not further inspire people to do those things. Just last night, a cat was selling wire cutters. And the addict is the greatest hustler on earth.
Right. Well, I'm in recovery, Donnie, and we were talking about that this morning too. I don't hide that. I'm a recovering addict, and almost 39 years in the process. And
4 decades. I got it wrong. I said over 3 decades. Almost 4 decades.
Right. Yeah. January 27th, 1986. And I have a guy who I sponsor, and he was going to an event, and he said, "Man, I don't know how to handle this." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "They're going to be drinking there." I said, "So what do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, how do I handle it when somebody offers me a drink? Just tell them you don't drink." He said, "Just like that?" I said, "Everybody out here is not in recovery. There's some people who don't drink, period. And you big and bad enough that if someone persists, You let them know. Damn it, I said I don't drink. Don't ask me no more. I don't have an issue with that, man. I've come a long way with it. I'm in a lot of circles where there's always alcohol. Um, but I've come so
And
far. Man.
alcohol. Hey, look, alcohol worse than the dope, the coke, and the rock combined. That alcohol legal, readily available, 20 hours a day,
Absolutely.
socially acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I found the alcohol to be worse than them all.
Well, none of them work for me, and I just tell people, um, and they don't believe me when I tell them, what I was like almost 40 years ago, and they can't believe it. Now, I just tell them, man, I'm covered. I have made a transformation. God has blessed me with a new way of life. I do my best to live that kind of life. Not perfect. Uh, my thing is to be a servant, to help people, and to give away what was so freely given to me. I got a young kid, 19 years old, who showed up at my home group last week, and I gave him my number, and he called me. Man, I forgot who I was talking to, but I said, look, I got to take this call, and to have a 19-year-old reach out to a 68-year-old and say, look, man, I'm trying to do the right thing. Man, that could like cease some generational curses that have been going on in his family. You don't have to, like fix the whole neighborhood, man. And you just got to start with one person. One 19-year-old might show some hope for some other 19-year-olds. His family. You just don't know what it might do, and who knows? I might need his help one day.
Help me, somebody.
But I keep showing up for that stuff, man. You never know when you're blessed in the morning to be able to wake up and walk to the bathroom without a walker and turn on clean water and clean yourself and go back to your room and have a choice of clothes to put on, clean clothes, and then go
Mm,
downstairs and have a
mm,
choice of what you want to eat,
mm.
food, and then go out of your house and have a choice of what vehicle you're going to drive. I mean, these are things up and above the bare necessities. But when you have choices like that, sometimes people forget how blessed you are. And
How about electricity and running? Well, you said the running water.
oh yeah, all of that. Turn on lights, turn on the heat and having all of that kind of stuff in the house. People don't have it. If you've been to some of these third world countries around the world or gotten somewhere outside of the United States, you see some of the things that we have that we take for granted, and even in parts of this country, the things that we take for granted. Sometimes I don't understand the politics of some of the poorest people in the country. Seem to be aligned with the richest, and they get nothing from it. But that's
You,
their
you,
mentality. That's another story.
you've
But
been to developing countries.
oh yeah, I can hear you.
You've been to developing countries where people live in shacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, some countries around the world, you see um, Park Avenue, and you see, uh, huts or things in the hills of Appalachia. So, or parts of East Baltimore or West Baltimore or Sandtown, and you go 2 miles further, and
We got mansions in Sandtown. Slow
well,
down.
you can travel certain parts of every neighborhood around here, and you got nice stuff, and you also got people to remind you of where you came from. And you know
Yeah,
what I mean when I say that.
I,
I looked
I
at the
do.
news this morning, and there was a shooting down in Harbor East, and I don't know why people think they're exempt from that. Everybody's going to catch a moment where they say, nothing like this has ever happened here before. It gets me every
Let
time.
me tell you something. I got a story to tell you. Not long ago, I was staying in a hotel down there in Harbor East, and I would go to the Starbucks. I was down there a couple of weeks. They were working on my house. And I went to the Starbucks down there, and it was a white man, and he donned a whip. Rod, he got a whip on his hip. A whip.
Wow.
A whip.
And he knew how to use it, huh?
I don't know. But it Rod,
I
tell me
can't.
about Donald Trump. You know they tried to kill him yesterday.
Yeah, I heard that. I
You
keep
think
my.
it's a stunt?
I don't know. I think some people are really frustrated, and some people are afraid that he even has the opportunity. I don't understand the mentality or how the court system works, where I can be denied global entry because I got caught with about $20 worth of pot back in 1977. So the feds will not release that. I guess I can go through. I found out that's what it was. I could probably get that expunged, but there's no record of it in the Baltimore or Maryland court system that shows that. And this guy can be
Guilty of 34 felonies.
34 felonies and run for president. I
34.
34. I don't understand it. And the mentality of people, like I went in the barbershop the other night, Donnie, and barbershop is always good conversation, but I was the last guy in there. And the guy says, Mr. Easter, I am so glad you were not here. And I said, why is that? He said, wait a minute, let me show you a picture. So he posts up this picture, and a brother who normally comes in and normally have conversation came in with a Make America Great Again hat on. I said, you damn right, I'm glad I was not here. Um, I don't understand the mentality. I try to connect the dots, and if I miss something, let me know. But being somewhat politically connected and working out of the
Being
trade.
modest, Rod, you're a political beast.
Well, thank you, but there's still some knowledge and some work to be done. But connected to a simpler way of explaining things, that when George Bush left office in 2008, if you can remember, the banks were dying. The big banks were tanking out. Wall Street was at its worst since the Depression back in the 30s. The auto industry was dying, almost dead. And we elect a young black man by the name of Barack Obama, who came in and worked hard over the next 8 years to revamp the banking system, the auto industry, get the stock market to rolling, to give some hope back to people. And nothing is perfect, nothing is perfect. There's some things that, a lot of people say he didn't do enough for us, but, he was the first. And hopefully he's not the last. But Trump comes in on a real technicality, because them bringing up the emails again at the last minute on Hillary, kind of like the people who were like in the middle, kind of like went the other way. And he comes in on the tail end of a stock market that's just taken off like it had never taken off before. He wants to take credit for that. When he left us with a pandemic. He left us with unemployment. He left us with a stock market that was kind of like stagnant, but still there. Left us with a lot of problems. And now I look at Biden, who had to come in during a pandemic. The other claim that Trump makes is that there were no wars during his administration. There's always a conflict or a war going on somewhere on this earth. Always. You can't tell me when it's not. There's always something going on. But I look at where we've come to now, and racism, in my opinion, those who kept it in a pocket felt like it was comfortable to show their hatred towards other people. The only time I've seen this country on one accord was right after 9/11, when we had an outside enemy. And I look at it now, and people are just not educated. What does the Bible say? Where there's no vision, the people perish. Also, you got to say where there's no truth, and they're just for him to even be in the race now is absolutely insane. 34 felonies, calling people names, disrespect. I actually saw John F. Kennedy in person as a kid. I remember how anointed the office and respected the office of president was. When you get a guy who calls people stupid and they're dumb and they're sleeping.
He calls soldiers suckers and losers.
Comrade, this and dead soldiers who lost their lives or whoever got captured, and he was a draft dodger. His father was a draft dodger. His son is a draft dodger. My father did 2 tours in World War II. His daddy was sitting home, sipping champagne. So I had no respect for him. I don't understand how any other person could have respect for him. He beat, as a construction worker, this guy beat construction companies and construction workers out of their wages and benefits while they were developing Atlantic City and New Jersey. He refused to allow Black people to move into his properties in New York City. He took out an ad to convict, 4 young Black men of murder who were later on exonerated. He also said,
5, Central Park 5.
Yeah. Oh, 5. Yeah, 5. He also said, and I can't remember who interviewed him. He said if he ever ran for president, he'd run as a Republican, because those people are so stupid that they would believe anything you say. And I just don't understand for the life of me how this guy's even in the race.
Because he tapped into racism, America's original sin.
Yeah, take our country back. What do the Indians have to say? What do the Native Americans have to say about this? That's
that we all invaders.
Every one of us. At least my ancestors were not here by choice. They were forced into this new way of life.
Well, I got to share with you, Rod. We have been in the Americas. We are not new to the Americas. Now, I don't know if you know this. I got 3 books out. That's my first one, Unapologetically Black.
Yeah, I got that one.
And this is the second one. And then in this one, I Am Black Wall Street, I learned about the history. I write about the history of Black people. Can you see it?
It's blurred, but we'll see it later. Yeah, I can see it now. Okay.
I Am Black Wall Street.
Right.
I go into the history of Black people in the Americas. You've seen the Olmec heads. They 2,500 years old. Out there in the Arizona desert, they got Egyptian artifacts. Mm-hmm. We have been in these Americas. We didn't first come here in the bottom of a slave ship. And then you look at Brazil, one of our favorite countries. You and I both love Brazil.
Have the largest population of Black people in the world.
Outside of Africa.
Outside of Africa.
Yes, sir. So I don't think we've started going there during slavery, because they have currents that go from Africa right into South America. You just get in a boat and it just takes you right in there. We were the first sailors. Right. We were the first everything. And that's something about what you're talking about. We have to know our history, not just about James Mosher, and the greats, the Negro League greats who came through there. But our history going back to the beginning of time, we were the first sailors.
So Donnie, this kind of correlates with when I said, I'm somewhat politically connected. There was a gentleman who was named Mr. Branch. I don't know if you knew his son. His name was Norman Branch. He was a tailor. He lived up on Ruxton Avenue. Him and my father used to do tailoring together. My father used to, in the basement of Bentlow Street, my father used to make suits, pants, and take them up to Bradley's Cleaners up on Mosier Street and have them pressed. He would cut out the coats, send them up to Mr. Branch. He would do the other stuff to him, and tailor-made suits back in the day. Mr. Branch's father was blind. He used to be an educator. He was 90 years old, and he told me, he said, "Rowdy, I can't wait till tomorrow." And I said, "What's happening tomorrow, Mr. Branch?" He says, "Because if I'm allowed to wake up, I got a chance to learn something new." And 90 years old and blind, still having the thirst for knowledge, So I look at what you just said. I'm going to research that because you opened up my thought process to something more than the way I was thinking. So I appreciate that.
Luzia, 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 Brazil. Interesting story. Now, the oldest DNA in the world comes out of Namibia, the San Bushman. An example of the San Bushman would be Nelson Mandela. And if you look at Nelson Mandela carefully, you notice he has eyes kind of like that. What we would call Chinese eyes.
Yeah, Asian, yeah.
Now, if they're the oldest DNA, if they have the oldest DNA on Earth, do they have Chinese eyes? Or do the Chinese have San Bushman eyes? But going back to Luzia, Luzia in Brazil, they found her bones in a cave. And they the DNA was dated back 12 to 14,000 years. So when they say that we came to America, and first of all, they say 1619, that's wrong. In this book, I Am Black Wall Street, I identify that the first blacks came to North America around 1525. And they ended up beating up the slave owner and dipping off into the Gullah Islands.
Yeah.
And the Gullah Islands has so much history. I mean, they're some of the most original black people in North America. But nonetheless, Luzia, 12 to 14,000. I've been following this story. I got to tell you this update. I first learned about it, I guess, about 6-7 years ago, when they reconstructed the face, the head. She had a big forehead like them Brazilian girls got. No disrespect. A full forehead. But this year, the white scientists then went back meddling, and they done, the complexion is still brown, but they done narrowed the nose.
Huh. Okay.
Just
when you said big forehead, you reminded me of Rihanna. I used to think about her, but Rihanna's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Brazilian prototype.
Yeah.
Billionaire.
Yeah.
We're not new to money.
Yeah.
The richest king who ever lived was a black man named Mansa Musa out of Mali. He's the richest king who ever lived then and now. Mansa Musa. And he got on a ship and traveled this way.
Well, Donnie, black people have always had wealth, and that's where, that's where the attraction came. We want what they got. We can't get it, so let's take it. Great Britain all over the world was the worst. You
They
know,
the
that's
biggest
where
people of
me
all.
the hatred, the slavery, all of it comes from. And the colonies. You know, sometimes as a kid, I used to watch Tarzan, and I think about it now, and how one white guy can scare a whole tribe of natives and even talk to the animals and tell them what to do. You know,
Hollywood.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Cowboys, grit, all that kind of stuff. You know.
And look at what Hollywood is still doing to us.
Oh yeah. This what's this new movie that just came out with Kevin Hart, Taraji Henson, uh, Samuel L. Jackson, and I said to my lady, I said, it just seems that some people always get roles that have black people in the negative light,
Buffoonery.
and we run out to see that like we can relate. Um, I don't get it. Some things I don't get. But Donnie, let me talk to you about you mentioned
The movie
electrical.
is called Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, and we've talked before. You know, my um, background started off with the unions with the electricians, and become uh, politically involved and then politically connected. Saturday, I was at an event for the Black Caucus. A lot of networking going on there, and I just I didn't feel out of place, even though I was a lot older than a lot of those people. They didn't know it until I told them. But I
You
got a
do look
lot of
young, Rod. You look
I,
very young.
you you know when people say to me, "Black don't crack," I said it may not, but the shit sure do hurt. Excuse me, can I? I'm sorry I said that, but it does hurt. Um, but uh, I still find young men and young women who want to go into the trades because everybody is not made out for college. And you can make a lot of money and a lot of uh, uh, just the quality of life can be good. And some of these young men that are standing on the corner, we talked in the beginning about people who are not here that I grew up with. A lot of them were so talented they could take a car apart without any blueprints and put it back together, and help you build something in the house or whatever like that, or wire something up, uh, electronic stuff, who are not here anymore. So a lot of our young black men and women in our youth are actually talented enough to do the work, but we can't get um, them to qualify with the certificates like high school diplomas, GEDs, and things of that nature. I've often tried to get the unions to commit to building a um, building trades academy in Baltimore City to invest in remedial math, comprehension reading, GEDs, and entry into the apprenticeships, because a lot of the apprenticeships require that you have a year of algebra. Um, you must have a high school diploma or GED. And when you working and you're starting off these jobs that are paying like an electrician apprentice with no experience starts off at over $20 an hour. And for an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, or somebody who's 20 something who's not working, that's a good start. But in 5 years, you have 30 credits towards college, an AA degree, you have healthcare, you have annuity, retirement, and in 5 years, you're probably making close to $50 an hour. Who wants to stand on a corner and sell dope when you have those kind of options? But unless you are uh, can see something that's tangible in front of you, if you see this building that says Building Trades Academy, and I visioned this. I had that vision for um, the old Acme warehouse, and we
50
looked at
bucks an hour, that's 100,000 a year, right?
huh?
50 bucks an hour is
Oh
a
yeah,
hundred.
but most guys work over. Most guys make much more than that. You can double that. Electricians, you can double that without even working hard.
You can make 150, 200,000 as an electrician.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
That's good damn money.
It's good money. It's good money.
But Rod, this is one thing I don't hear you saying, and I need you to touch this for me. A sense of purpose.
Oh yeah. Well, I was getting to that. If when my first job was Harbor Place, and at that time I was in my addiction. Harbor Place was going on in '79 and '80. I left there and went down to White Marsh Mall, uh, worked in constructing the old Bambergers that's not there anymore.
Hamburgers. I ain't heard that name in years.
Left from there, went to Bethlehem Steel.
Hamburger.
Um, uh, Worked on the subway. Man, when you can stand back and say, I built that, when you ride past and say, I worked on that project, this is what happened. I worked on the Fort McHenry Tunnel when it was under construction, and to drive through it today, I said, wow, I did some electrical systems in here. I worked on the Cleveland Indian Stadium doing the sound system there. I worked in nuclear power plants around the country. At one power plant in New Jersey, Hope Creek, under quality control, I did some connections there. When I came out, quality control asked me, he says, did you do it right? And I said, absolutely, it's right. He said, when I shut this door, no human will ever be able to go in there again. Well, we had no problems out of Hope Creek, and I can sit back and say, wow,
You
I
gotta write a
did it.
book, bro. Rod,
Huh?
you gotta write a book. You gotta write this stuff down in a book.
Well, let's get it done. Someone else said that to me. I just don't know how to do it.
Easy. I can show you.
Okay.
Piece of cake.
Okay. But when people stand back who have had their hands in something and it's something monumental, like the Ravens Stadium, and I got pictures of me on top of the lights while they're being constructed down there. Um, that's something I can stand back and say, man, you see them lights? I was up on top of them while we were wiring them up. That gives you a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of purpose, to look back at where you've come from and where you've gone. And I've said in meetings, I know we run out of time, but I want to say
Take your
this.
time. Take your
I,
time.
yeah, I want to say this. I'm coming from addiction to sitting in the White House with presidents, being on governmental boards. Um, uh, I'm a registered lobbyist, consultant, and back when President Obama was in office, Labor had a meeting in the White House, and I sat at a table with then Vice President Biden, and between the two of us was Valerie Jarrett,
I love her.
great lady. Biden and I struck a conversation between the two of us, over Valerie, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. 2 years later, we're at the Port of Baltimore. He was bringing um, a a grant for $10 million to the port, and In fact, wait, let me show you this. I don't know if you can see this or not.
I'm so proud of you, Rod.
Can you see that?
I'm so proud of you, Rod.
So he was bringing the grant to the port, and he asked, when I walked over to him, and he says, "I know you," and I'm like, this was 2 years later, and the man says, "I know you," and I'm thinking to myself, this is such bull. You done been around the world, talked to all these people, and you talk to one black guy, we all look alike. And I said, "Yeah, we've met before, Mr. Vice President." He says, "I know where it is." He says, "We were at the White House, and you and I had a conversation. Valerie Jarrett was sitting between the two of us." I could not believe that man could remember me from that. Now, getting into now, I just want to say, give him his kudos. He has had 50 years of public life, serving people. He lost his first wife and son in a car accident. He's had trauma. His son now is in some legal trouble. Being the president of the United States and kind of like the leader that other countries look to, and me having two parents who both had dementia, to understand what it's like to have all of that on your plate and to know that you're losing it, and not wanting to give up because people are telling you you can't give up, but knowing you can't go on. When he got in front of that mic and says, "I'm not doing this anymore," people can say he was pushed out, whatever they want to say, but he was probably the most relieved person on earth. Man, he should be able to enjoy the rest of his life, enjoy his grandchildren as long as he knows them, enjoy his wife, and we thank him for his service because he's done a lot. And in honor of my mother and father, man, it's like becoming their parent after they were my parent all my life was difficult for me to accept. But the only thing that I felt like sometimes it was so unfair, but I understood later on that God chose me because he knew I would do the right thing. And I know that there are people that are circled around the president that will do the right thing by him. And I just want to publicly thank him for all that he's done.
Tell me a song that inspires you, Rod.
Man, how can we go without Frankie Beverly, man? Come on now. Before I let go. Oh my God.
There ain't no way that I can let you go before I know just what.
And that can go so many different ways, man. Frankie Beverly. I think of the music nowadays, and I think of this girl Gorilla and Cardi B and some of the rappers and stuff out there. Man, the music we came up with was
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Frankie's, the Stevie Wonders, Marvin Gaye's. What Marvin Gaye and the Temptations, were singing about 50 years ago is what's going on right now. They had a vision about that right now. It was not offensive. It was sexy. It was uplifting. Man, this stuff they're singing about now, man, is just trash.
They're singing about Percocets, man.
It's hard, man.
How the hell do you sing about Percocets?
Well, they sing about worse stuff than Percocets, and I can't get it. I can't get it. And then when you have, we are offended when the N-word is said by other people,
but we use it publicly.
And then it's okay to say it in a song or have the whole audience saying it. It's just offensive to me that people are making money off the blood of other people who died, so that would not be like that. And if that's your talent, I guess that's the way the world is going. It's just not for me. I don't know if
When
anybody
you,
else agrees with me or not. I don't know what your ratings are on this talk show. I don't
man,
know. I just know how
our
I
ratings,
feel.
our ratings come from God. Listen, when we were young, if you called a girl the B word,
Oh, oh, oh,
you gonna
oh!
fight.
If she was with three girls, you gonna have to fight all four of them.
But now a sister refers to herself as a B.
Yeah,
The
yeah. And her
baddest.
mother. My mother's a bad bee. You know. Oh my! Come on, y'all. Come on.
We can do better than this. That's what my daddy would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can do better than this.
But you know what, Donnie, you just said a mouthful. Your daddy. I had a daddy and a mama. You had a daddy and a mama.
Thank God.
Everybody did not
I did.
have a
I
daddy
was
and a
a
mama.
Rod. I was about 40 till when I realized I was the only kid on the block with a dad
Yeah,
in my generation.
yeah. Well, we had quite a few of them in my block, and
But
it's
I'm 10 years younger than you.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And we got 70% single households today.
yeah,
In the 40s and 50s, we were the most married. And I
yeah,
just want to make this point. I got to hear your comment before you go. There was a time when we would work hotel jobs. I grew up bussing tables, waiting tables. My great uncle, he retired from the Center Club as a waiter. There was a time when we had no problem doing menial labor, physical labor, doing jobs that other people won't do. Now the Latinos, even the flaggers in the street, the Latinos do jobs that we used to do. Will we ever get back to going to work? Any kind of damn work.
I don't know what we do. I have that issue with some members of my family. I will just say that I think you hit it on the head. Jobs are being not taken, but being performed by jobs that we refuse to take. Um, there's generational curses, and people who, to me, and this is just my opinion, some people have been on. Their grandmother was on welfare, mother's on welfare, and they're comfortable and fine with sitting home getting whatever they can get and doing whatever. But there is a great population of our people who are educated, who want to be educated, who want to buy nice homes, who want to do things, who want to send their kids to college. But there is that small group of still who want to stay stuck. And I can't blame the Latinos who come into this country the right way, um, um, through the legal system, and who want to make it better, a change for their lives, and will stand out there and work and cut grass in the rain and flag and the snow and out there, all the men and the women, and I can't blame them for doing that. We have collectively, and we're all in it. It's like when things called project labor agreements come into the opportunities for Baltimore City, we've got to be prepared, have a workforce in Baltimore that's prepared to take those kind of jobs. Otherwise, there's no need for Baltimore to do that. And I just want to make sure that we have a workforce that's educated, skill wise, mentally wise, and prepared to take the jobs of the future that are coming in. And if it's anything that I can do to move that train, I want to be a part of it. I'm in the fourth quarter, man. So anything that I can leave. Uh,
Actually, you're finishing up the third quarter, Rod, just to give you a little, because remember, Mr. Meacham was 95.
yeah,
So
my dad was 95 and my mother was 93. I lost her to COVID. But the things that they
you're
had
not
to,
old, Rod.
no, I'm not. And I feel good, but by some standards, you know, I'm not going to work until I'm 95. Come on, man. I'm in the fourth quarter. So,
Into
and
the
be
third quarter, Rod.
okay. All right. All right. All right. But
Hey, I just want to take a moment and thank you for being a big brother to me. I don't know about anybody else, but you've always been a big brother to me. I
thank you,
do
Don.
know this, Rod. I gotta tell you this. This is kind of funny. You got one of the most gangster profile pictures in the world.
Me
It's
and my
no
mom.
huh?
Me and my mom.
No, the one of you on Facebook, man. It's one, man. You look like my father. You look like my father's big brother. He never smiled. He never smiled. I say he worked down the jail. I say, Uncle Sammy, how come you never smile? And he said, I smile, and it just ain't nothing to smile for right now.
Yeah, I got two accounts. Yeah. I thought you were talking about me and my mom dressed in Ravens gear. But
No.
yeah, I know the
Your
one you're
Facebook
talking about.
profile. It's no nonsense. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not a game.
Yeah, if you know me, Donnie,
It's your game face.
my exterior is normally not connected to my insides. You know, I'm a giving person. I have never, in my knowledge, walked out of the house or had a thought about harming people. I want to help. I don't want anybody to harm me, but I understand I can't walk around looking like I'm happy, whatever, ha ha ha. It's just me, you know, kind of
But
like putting up that barrier until I let you in. I'm not letting you in without, you getting yeah.
I love you, big brother. Thank you
Love
for your
you too,
time.
man. I appreciate you.
My name's Donnie. Last name's Glover. This has been a wonderful interview with Mr. Rod Easter, a West Baltimore legend. If I think better, I do better. Special thank you to Ben McCormick of New Life Recovery Center. Good afternoon, world.
Take care, brother. Bless you.
Thank you.